This lifestyle that I'm living, shawty know that it get crazy. We'll make it through the rain, you gon' always be my baby. Cause I slide for you, but would you really do the same? And I'ma stay 100 if you swear you never change. This lifestyle that I'm living, shawty know that it get crazy. We'll make it through the rain, you gon' always.
Welcome back to the True Diamond VVS podcast. I'm your host, your boy Germs, and we got a very special guest today. He goes by Justin Park, official. You know who he is. He is an R&B singer and songwriter from the label 5A, and he's that's right here in LA. You might have heard of him through his songs On the Low, Adore You, Dior You, featuring Ted Park, who's a friend of this podcast as well.
Yes, sir.
So welcome. Yeah, Justin, it's great to have you here. How you feeling today?
I feel very great, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to come on this for, quite a while now. My boy Ted Park, as you said, has been on this as well. So I think it's really cool to talk about who we are and what we do.
Yeah. Talking about Ted, he had a lot of good things to say about you. He also he kind of gave me a little bit of snippets of new projects that are coming up. So I want to first start with, how did you get into music, and also where are you from?
Okay. So this is a question that we get asked all the time, but it's cool. It's cool to talk about it because you get a different version of it every time we speak about it.
Yeah.
And for myself, I've always been into music. I've always loved it, and everywhere I go, I'm always either singing, humming, whistling, or something of the sort. So I'm a walking musician.
Yeah.
And where I first started, I guess, is when I was 16 in high school.
Okay.
At our school, South Pasadena High, we have a talent show that's very, very popular.
Yeah.
And it only comes around once a year. And if you can try to think back to your schooling days, school sucks. So I mean, every moment you get to get out of the classroom, get out of academics, like doing sports, PE. Right. Just lunchtime or like assemblies. I loved assemblies because I always liked to watch entertainment, and maybe that's why it kind of fed into me becoming an artist.
Okay.
And so when I won the talent show, all I did was sing a song by Bruno Mars. There's clips online on Facebook. I did an interview with Vogue magazine.
Nice.
They put that up. Just talking about how I also became a singer and all that stuff. And
okay.
So basically, when I won the talent show, I started to really feel like, a mini celebrity at the time, because at school everybody was celebrating me, and for weeks on end they would remember, ask me, when are you gonna sing next? When are you gonna sing at this football game? Are you gonna sing at this, the homecoming thing, whatever? And I'm just like, yeah, I want to do all that, and I did. And so after that, everyone in school knew me as the singing guy. Okay. And I never knew that would happen. And the story gets real deep. I don't know how much you want to know.
No, let's keep going.
Really?
So you said you're from South Pasadena, so you're from LA originally.
Yeah. So I was born in near K-Town. There's a hospital that I'm sure almost everybody from K-Town is born at. It's over there towards downtown.
Okay.
Born in K-Town. Moved out when my mom and my dad had first met, and then we moved to Eagle Rock, and I lived there for like maybe until I was 6 years old.
Okay.
And then we moved back to Koreatown when my mom and dad had split.
Yeah.
And then I lived with my aunt's family and just the rest of my family at that point. So 8 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment in K-Town.
Wow.
Until maybe I was like 8 or 9 years old, and then we moved to South Pasadena because of some just troubles that were happening in our city at the time.
Yeah.
And so we had to escape, and we went to South Pasadena, a much better area, probably an area we couldn't have afforded to live in.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that until way later, because everything seemed sweeter. It was a lot better than when we were back here. So I lived in South Pasadena all the way until I graduated high school. And then I moved to East LA with my mother, near towards Chinatown, Boyle Heights, Lincoln Heights area. Okay. And then I moved back to Koreatown maybe 5-4 years ago.
Got it. So when you started doing the talent shows and you started singing, were you good? Like, have you been singing like since you were a kid, or did you just try it and you were like, oh, I actually like it,
That's a really good question. I've always been into singing, and I remember my first performances when I was in grade school, maybe preschool, grade school, like kindergarten, that time. And I had such a vivid memory of this exact moment. I was singing Silent Night in front of this kind of like Christian-y school, Catholic school. Yeah. And, man, I just remember the spotlight just hitting me as I was singing, the song. Yeah. And I think that moment was the very moment where I kind of fell in love with performing on a stage in front of people, and also just the music. My dad being a piano composer his whole life, even till now, and him playing music and writing songs for me as a kid, I think really rubbed off on me. And, injected a passion into me that I really wanted to, explore.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of the success for musicians is they have a family history. You know,
absolutely.
like your dad's a singer or your dad's a piano player. So that's great to hear. So so after high school, I'm sure you got a lot of fame just from like the local people at your high school. You're good looking, you're tall,
Thanks,
and like you can sing. So that's like the combination of being like the next like Korean Chris Brown or like Korean August Alsina or something. So how did that popularity eventually turn into something that you pursued like full time?
Okay, it's a good and complicated question because for myself, I always sort of struggled with identity and just being confident in self. You know what I'm saying? And I guess it's always harder to understand or to believe when an artist says that. But this is like you're only seeing the version of me who's come through so much or who's been through so much.
Right.
And yeah, I'll tell you back then, man. I mean, I was by no means the most popular kid in school. I was not the coolest kid in school. I was probably like just a normal Asian kid, who likes to play basketball and sports and all that stuff. But, I wasn't even a jock. But I think after the talent show thing in like 11th grade, people really started to see me as like a cool kid, because it's like, I guess if you have that one thing in school that, you could latch onto, people will be like, oh, he's cool because he does this.
Yeah.
This. Right. So I guess I was blessed to have that happen. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think kids really just enjoyed the fact that I was going to become a singer or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then after high school, did you immediately try to get signed to a label or did you do some independent work before?
Okay. So right after the talent show, still in 11th grade, I would, just some random night in K-Town, we were just playing around. It's like maybe like 9, 10 p.m. We were like, maybe we should get home. And then we run into a couple guys, I don't know how this happened. We were in the streets, right? Just me and some friends. Yeah. And then another group of guys were there. We meet up and they're like, hey, we're actually producers. And I was like, oh, shoot, I'm an aspiring singer. Okay. And then so we go back to their apartment and then they said they're producers. So they have beats playing and I'm freestyling. And I have a video on my Facebook page from a long time ago that got kind of popular because on this freestyle tip, but it's really old. So I don't know if we're going to find it. But that was the first time that kind of led me into this sort of like label environment, like this kind of, oh, we're really serious about making music. Because there are a lot of kids in my school who were like aspiring DJs, of producers, but none of them were ever good, So it's like you never know who to really take seriously until you meet them. And I met these guys, and at the time they were good, and I guess for amateurs they're pretty good. Yeah. And so you're messing around, and like weeks, we maybe made songs for a month or so. Okay. And they're like, man, dude, your potential and even where you're at from where we began is so much better than what we can do for you. So why don't we, take you to these guys, these cats we know in Hollywood, and, we're going to try to get you an album or something, just get something going where we can get, big. And man, that was such an interesting time because I was South Pasadena, Asian kid. Yeah. We go to Hollywood and these guys are all black, like an all black label or a production group, I suppose. Right. And the guys who I was working with at the time were like a under label for Kid Ink. Okay. So Alumni was a pretty big label / business / like merch at the time because Kid Ink had a song with Chris Brown called Show Me. Yeah. And so I was working with these guys and they were trying to pitch me to Disney. This whole long process over like 1 to 2 years. Okay. And so like from when I was a junior till after I graduated, I was still working with these guys. Got it. So such an interesting time. And I guess one little tidbit about that time that was interesting to me was so they would be taking me to like Compton to listen to this artist named AD's like album release party So AD's on No Jumper. Oh, okay. He's their co-host or whatever. Okay. Adam, big black guy. Is he
the Crip dude?
AD, I don't know if he was a Crip.
Because there's like House Phone or something like that, and then there's another guy I think I know you're talking about.
Maybe he could be. I mean, only because at the time too, we were kicking it with this guy named OT Genesis.
Yeah, I'm in love with the Ted actually told me that you like somehow you guys were like had some ties. So I was very curious about that.
So we would be at the 1010 Wilshire building, and this is like when I was like 17, bro. So New Boys, I'm a jerk.
Yeah.
So that was popular back then. So those guys were like the guys I'd be, at these little parties with, like
Okay.
OT Genesis would be on stage performing like 3 years before I'm in Love with the Coco even
Yeah,
came out.
yeah, yeah.
So these guys were the guys I was kicking it with and making music with. And then the ending of that was just real messy and just whatever. So I don't talk about the story.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's how I first started. And then I came across 5A, a lot of, different things in between that. But how I got with 5A, which is my company and label now.
Yeah.
And one who was my first mental coach, my first vocal coach. I've been working with her for like maybe 2 years or so at that point. And then she said, hey, honestly, I think your growth is so amazing that you should be working with a label. And 5A was developing artists at the time. And I was like, yes, I'd love to start this again. And I want to take this serious. And that was how I got with 5A label.
Okay. So when you first started, did you feel like you wanted to go a certain way with your music? Like, for example, did you want to sound like someone? And did that like change as you got into 5A?
Yeah. So if I were to talk about when I had first worked with the guys in Hollywood, I guess the sound that we were trying to get was just
like Korean Kid Ink.
I don't really know. Like kidding, not really kidding, because I was more like R&B singing back then, like just really just singing. So they were trying to make me into like a pop artist. You know what I'm saying? So maybe like a Justin Bieber, Chris Brown, right? Because even I ask myself this question every day. It's like, man, who are those? Man, for lack of better words, like who are the artists like a Chris Brown? Like, there's very few, bro. Like this, like Chris Brown, Tory Lanez, Bryson Tiller, like in that lane, in the pop lane, where it's like you can kill this R&B pop thing.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's definitely not a lot. I would say in the Asian community, the biggest one that I can name off is Jay Park.
Yeah, Jay Park for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely one that obviously is like for Korean folks. I mean, he's a guy.
Clout, talent, all
exactly.
That for
sure,
Park,
So. Okay, let me take a step back. So when you were doing the singing in Hollywood, like were you also a dancer too, or did you ever get into the dancing aspect?
Not so much back then. And when I did get into dances with 5A, because they really invested into me, and we partnered with the Kinjas. I don't know if you know who they are, but huge like just international dance group. Like much like the Jabberwockies, they do this mask thing, but they're just so much more intricate and it's cool. So that's when I first started dancing, just a couple years back.
Got it.
Maybe 2017 or so.
Okay. Yeah. So you started with 5A, and then from there, what was like the first project that you dropped?
With 5A, it was so 5A was different because what we did there was called development, and not many artists today do development. I'd say little to none. Yeah. And the development structure was very popular back in the day. I'm talking like Motown, like Michael Jackson coming up days, And development is so important because I think a lot of the times artists are made and not, I say, okay, in a creative way, artists are born, but superstar artists are made. Yeah. Right? Because there's so many things that you have to learn. And a lot of these artists who are coming out today and becoming successful early will fail early because they haven't learned all the things that they need to, have a part of them as an artist. And I think one part is even just speaking to other people, and having to, carry a podcast and all that stuff. Right. It's really hard, and to uphold an image and all that stuff, it takes a lot of work. And some of these guys just mentally aren't there yet. So they end up destroying their careers even before it ever gets to the peak. I think that's what 5A really did for me. It's can you dance? Can you hold yourself on stage? Okay, so I'll bring up one thing that my little brother Richard brought up. He's like, oh man, I saw this video of Kid Leroy at a Rolling Loud performance. It's so terrible. And a lot of people and just normal people, when they look at artists, they're like, oh man, like they sound so good. When you see them live, it's like, why is it so different? Like, what the heck is happening? And like, a lot of technology, a lot of the stuff that we do as recording artists, there's a lot of stuff that can help you fix your vocals, right? So the one beautiful thing that 5A did with me is like, hey, Justin, for 2 years, we're not going to put out any projects. We're just going to work on 2 freaking years, bro. Wow. Like, we're just going to work on you sounding good, looking good, dancing well, carrying yourself as an artist, like even down to language. What are you going to say in an interview? What are you going to say in a podcast? Right. You got to think about all these things. You have to prepare yourself, right? Right. So that's the one beautiful thing about 5A that I love and absolutely appreciate. It's the fact that they took 2 years to develop me as an artist and still stuck with me through all that. And now we're putting out albums and we're really just doing our thing, Yeah.
They kind of operate like a K-pop sort of.
In a sense, but not really, because we're not slaves, and you know what I'm saying. Like I get to have my
yeah.
freedom throughout all of the growth and all of the work that they put into me.
Okay.
And ultimately, it's like freedom of creation, freedom, all those things. It's like free. So, it's nothing like hip hop labels, and we actually like to hold ourselves to that standard. That though most of us in the label are Korean, or like it's we know the insider knowledge of like K-pop type stuff, because my big sis Amber Liu, who I've been on tour with for 2 consecutive years, she was a part of SM a long time ago.
Okay.
And so she's shed light on a lot of the things that they do wrong, and a lot of the things that may not be good as humans.
Yeah.
So me knowing all of that from her is like, oh yeah, like definitely the way that we carry our label is so much better. And I'm just really excited to see what's going to come out of what we have going on right now.
Have you considered doing music in Korea, like being part of, like, I can see you as part of like some group like 2 p.m. where you have like 5 guys, good looking, like just carrying out shows.
Yeah, I think as a kid, one of the reasons why I wanted to start music was because I think you may know this as well, but in America there weren't too many Asian people to look up to.
Yeah.
And so luckily, me being Korean, I had K-pop or like some Korean drama type stuff to really help me out with my male identity.
Sure.
I didn't have a dad growing up either, so
yeah.
I guess how I came up was kind of looking at that stuff with a mix of like all the American stuff, and that's how, who I am ultimately. But as a kid, I'd look at these K-pop stars and freaking, I'd be like, man, I wish I could look that dope, whatever. Because I used to be a fat kid, so all I wanted to do was look good. Dude, I got made fun of so much, and like me going to like all white, all black, all Mexican schools definitely didn't help. And they would just beat you down. Like I brought kare to school one day, like curry, right? Korean version of curry to school one day, and I remember this so well. But they were just like, oh, he's eating poop, or like that smells like nasty. But like for me, it's so delicious, and it's like, what the hell is your problem, guys? And like that kind of stuff will beat you down if you let it.
Yeah.
And I mean, what was I trying to say? And so basically, as a kid, as a really, really young kid, I was like, I do want to be a K-pop star. Why? Because what you see on the screen is like, oh, they're good looking. Girls and people alike are just praising them for who they are.
Right.
They put out dope music at the time, music. And I don't know, it's just like you see this Asian person, they're just so adored, and like all that I wanted as a chubby like financially unstable family home, like kid, all you could do is look at that and be like, damn, I want to be that guy. Like, one day. And so I would go to like these little K-pop auditions and stuff as like a 6th grader, 8th grader. I stopped in 8th grade because it's like, man, I hate this. Like this, I started to see, oh, this is kind of evil. These guys are weird. They really don't care about you as a person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I would do auditions for like K-pop star.
Yeah.
Like JYP audition. I remember doing that one time. Stuff like that.
Okay. What was that experience like? So I actually auditioned for K-pop Star 2 in LA when I was in college.
Yeah.
It really, I don't even know if I even wanted to do it, but I was like,
try.
I had the same kind of starstruckness as you. I was like, growing up same way. I was a fat kid, and I looked at these people like Big Bang, and I was like, dude, they're so adored. So cool, they're so like, they're just doing their thing, and I wanted that kind of like that attention, and then I had like same hair as you, like I had yellow hair, like did everything. And and ended up like, I just found out like musically, like it wasn't right for me, and it was a very interesting experience. But for you, did you ever like fly to Korea and actually audition there?
No,
or was it just all in the States?
Did that. I couldn't afford it, so there's no way,
I see. So then so you're with 5A, and then so what was the first song that you put out with 5A?
First song I put out with 5A is my cover of End of the Road by Boyz II Men. It's still on YouTube, actually.
Okay, nice.
And it's interesting because that for some reason got to like 200K, and I was like, wow. Now that I look back on it and listening to it, I'm like, what the what is going on? It's so bad. So I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
It's kind of like when Jay came, when he came back to the States, Jay Park, and he did his Nothing on You kind of thing. It seems like there's like a similar story,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So okay, so you put out that song, and you got a lot of views on there. And then how did that propel you to your next project?
So all the development I did with 5A was for an album, right?
Yeah.
So Places Like Home was my first album, and damn, I'm proud of that project because, a lot of people don't know how much it took to even put that out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It took a lot. And it's not even like back then we were major label signed. Like we had no money. Like it was just purely our company.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pete Rocks, my manager and my CEO. Shout out to Edward Shin, my cousin and main engineer and producer. It was like us three and a plus, a couple people in and out the company who really made this stuff happen.
Yeah.
It was hard, man. I'll tell you, like the financing and all that stuff back then definitely was not how it is for us today. And even today we're struggling a little bit. It's a lot harder. But yeah, what was the main question? I'm so sorry.
Yeah. What's the first project that you put out with them?
Okay, so after End of the Road and all this development we were doing with 5A eventually led up to Places Like Home, my first ever album, right? And to explain to you what we did in that meantime, for the 2-3 years that it took for that project, I was practicing singing, like tone, rhythm, how to sound on the mic, how to use the mic, distance and all that stuff. Also songwriting. So one thing that Peter gave to me as a younger person was like, hey bro, like all these guys that you look at, the models, the actors, whatever, all these cool people, right? Quote unquote. It's like one thing that they don't have that you have is the ability to write. And no one, even if you lose your voice, no one will ever take that away from you unless you take it from yourself. Like if you don't allow yourself to grow, or if you stop, right, it's not gonna be there. So I'm like, damn, I guess that is a skill. And one thing that I still hold to myself today is like, damn, I wrote that whole album, and even still I touch all of my projects, like even if it's not top to bottom, like I'll be part of every part of the project, like every part of the writing. You know what I'm saying? And I'll have 1 or 2 songs in the album where I've written with people, but it's like all of that's still me, like all of that's my freestyle on the melody, like all that stuff. So super proud of Pete for teaching me that, and also proud of myself for still running with that concept. No one can ever take that skill away from you.
Right. And would you say let's just fast forward a little bit, you have some hit songs like On the Low. Would you say that's your biggest song that kind of took you to the next level?
Yeah, I think timeline wise though, actually Honesty, my cover of Pink Sweats, was one of the first things that even propelled On the Low to get higher.
Oh, okay.
So I would, today I would say On the Low, but like back then, like 2 years ago or so, that cover is actually really what propelled like everything.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because streams, like especially on Spotify, it's like if you get one song that does really well, everybody's gonna start listening to your other songs, and
right.
if they really message you, I don't know, they'll keep listening to music, they'll get their friends to listen, so it just kind of just streams down. Yeah.
So like songs like On the Low or like You Don't Know, like it sounds like your R&B is all about like kind of like love, or like a love story that you had kind of mixed into like music, right? So so a lot of these songs, like, are you thinking back on a relationship or like a dating experience that propel you to like actually make these songs, or kind of what is your kind of like your chemistry in composing the songs?
Yeah, for me, I always try to write about real things because, man, I've just come to find that it's so hard to pull from a non-real emotion or a place. So for me, I always sit there and try to conceptualize what it is I'm going to sing about first. Because it's so much harder for me to write if I don't have a concept in mind. Right. And the way I like to see it is almost like a mini movie. So I'll put together the movie in my mind, and each moment, it's so hard to explain, but it's in a sense it's a movie, and then you see from top to bottom the moments, and then much like a movie, there's there's a beginning, there's a rise, climax, the de-escalation, I suppose, and the resolution, right. Songs, it's the same thing, because it's a story, you're telling a story, so I like to view it in the sense of a movie because I love movies, right? So those visuals really help me to write what it is I'm trying to say.
I see. And so now that you're kind of at a platform where you're a signed artist and you're doing music full time, does that make it harder for you to actually like date and go on dates and things like that?
Yes, I would say for the most part it is harder, and man, it sucks because I've run into some people who definitely judge people based on looks. And it's like, man, I'm an R&B singer, right? So I'm gonna have to look and act accordingly. And so like if I go on a date with somebody who had seen my Instagram previously, they're
Yeah.
gonna assume like, oh man, this guy's a fuckboy. Like, you know, he probably has been with a lot of women or does stuff like that. And so for me, I always ask the question, like, so do you always judge people based on their looks?
Yeah,
or,
I see.
you know, are you gonna take the time to ask me questions and see really what I'm about?
Yeah.
And I guess that's a poison of today's society, which I don't blame, because you know, you're always gonna look at somebody and try to protect yourself by assuming, oh, like they're probably like this. It's a defense mechanism, I understand.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think it's totally fine. I think once I talk to the person or whoever it is I'm on a date with, you know, they totally understand, and they'll see just through, you know, spending time with me what kind of person I am.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that at all. I actually appreciate it. It's like, I would rather have somebody just come up to me and talk to me than you know, sit there, assume and not talk to me, because I wouldn't want to talk to them either. So
Right.
you know, I guess that's life.
What kind of style of girls do you think that you're attracted to?
Man, I'm trying to figure this out myself, because, you know, as humans, we always make mistakes, and we always, like I said, we assume what we like, and most of the times I'll come to find that that's not what it is or what I want when I meet that kind of person.
Yeah.
So for right now, I think the kind of person that I want to be with is someone who's also ambitious, very passionate about the work that they're doing.
Okay.
And they have to be mature in many senses, I think, because also dating an artist is really, really hard. And I find that, you know, there's this maturity that's necessary in understanding what I do. And also, like, time. Like, you know, artists, we spend, like, most of the day, especially the serious ones, like, our day is packed. Like, there's no moment where we even get to spend for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's mostly at night for me. And so I know I definitely need to be with a partner who understands a lot of those intricacies, and just, yeah, it's going to be tough, man. So I'm not really even looking for a relationship, to be honest, bro.
Do you think you'd be more compatible with someone who is on a platform, maybe like an actress or someone else who does music, or someone that would be more low key and kind of doing things on the low?
This is a really hard question, and I'm trying to find the balance in this right now, even through my life.
Yeah.
Because I've been with both, and both were really hard. So I think I'm just trying to figure it out.
I see.
Yeah, but the way I see it, but like I said, I think this person, who, if I am going to dedicate myself to a person, they'll definitely have to understand how it is to work hard, and to have most of your days, most of your days, even in your mind, just filled with the thoughts of work. Yeah, they'd have to understand that, and I think for me, that's number one, bro, for sure.
Okay. And then in terms of like dating right now, it seems like you're kind of looking for more of a casual dating, and then seeing what happens, like if it ends up being good. So how do you get those dates? Like, is it more based on like people DMing you, or can we find Justin on a dating app?
For sure. I actually just deleted this morning a dating app because I started to feel like it's so toxic. Okay. Just for me personally. Yeah. Literally, like this morning I was on the toilet and I was like, man, I'm gonna delete. It just felt so, I don't know. And I really, really feel like this, but you're never gonna meet your soulmate on stuff like that. I don't know.
Okay, so you haven't met anybody on there. You were like, well, have you gone on dates?
From dating apps? Yeah, I have.
But sure. Does it kind of feel weird because they might already know who you are?
Yeah,
so you kind of feel like, oh, this is
absolutely.
Yeah, I had another friend who also does music, and he kind of felt the same way. He was like, oh, I don't know if they're dating me because of they're trying to get to know me, or because they just want to go, hey, like, let's take a picture and like try to get the clout off that.
Dude, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a crazy question, man. I don't know. I think for me, for sure, I definitely want to date somebody who doesn't know who I am first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I've come to learn. It's just easier. And I mean, there's no problem. I don't think there's no real problem with them knowing who you are already, and you know, wanting to, I guess, go on a date with you or whatever through a dating app. That's totally fine. But I've come to realize it's a lot easier to just date somebody who doesn't know you. You know, there's no, there's no tainting of the heart, or like there's no, what's the word? There's no bias, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know him, at all. So it's like, I'm just going to get to know who that person is.
Yeah.
That's more important, for sure.
So, like you said, we talked about before, Instagram, you kind of portray who you are because you're an R&B singer. You have to act a certain way, present yourself a certain way. But what are some things that people who want to get to know you more Like, what are some things about you that you wouldn't present online, or something that they don't really know about you?
Well, I think for me personally, I never really ever talk about my struggles online.
Okay.
Ever. And that's just because, I don't know. You know, we already know this, but on social media, you never really present the weaker sides of you,
Right.
or the darker sides of you. So I think what I did recently that I thought was really refreshing was that I went on a live like 2-3 days ago.
Yeah.
And I haven't gone live in so long. I used to all the time.
Yeah.
And just one change that I've also noticed in myself. It's just like, man, a lot of social media is just hiding a lot of yourself, and I think I'm trying to get out of that, and I want to be more of who I am on my social medias, especially because I want my fans to really know who I am. And, if I don't want them to fall in love with a facade or a version of you, right? So that's what I'm really working on. And to answer your question, I think, yeah, for sure, like mental health stuff, I would never really post online like, oh, I'm feeling like this, like, but also so many people do that, and like some people actually do that just for compassion or whatever. I mean, I'm like, man, for me, I'm like, what's the point, I guess. And I get main message is like, people are always the best versions of themselves on social media, and it's like that's not ever true.
And I think to your point, I think a lot of people can see your page and what you're doing and say, oh, he's made it to the top, and he's doing, he's pursuing his dream, but they don't really know what you struggle with. And I mean, I talked with Ted about this earlier too, and was like, the glam isn't always glam. Sometimes you do struggle with certain things, and I think for artists it's even more, because there's more eyes and people looking at you. So it's I think it's hard to be on a platform. For sure,
bro. Yeah. Dude, so many people's lives get ruined over this. And like yesterday, bro, I was watching this guy named Vitaly.
Oh, yeah,
he's like this YouTuber, right?
Yeah.
And he used to be so like pure. And even, I mean, I thought so. Like just looking at the guy, like just genuinely happy, funny, and like da-da-da. And he turns into this freaking monster, bro. Like, so the story is he was on shrooms or something in his mansion in Miami.
Yeah.
G-Wagon parked out front. And he like runs outside and attacks this girl, like just full on, just beating her in the face. Like, he didn't even know her, beating her in the face and chest. And when you see, I guess the couple interviews and all that stuff, I went deep. I was just watching, like, damn, his changing character is ridiculous. Yeah. And it's like, if you want to be famous, you want to be that guy. Yeah. Man, get ready, because you're gonna see a lot of character changes. Yeah. You're gonna run into a lot of bad people who say, "Oh, we're here for you. We're doing this for you." But you end up ultimately just becoming a bad person with them. And I'm scared of that. I'm really scared of that. So
yeah. And I think to that point, one thing that's very important is keeping a close group of people close to you, and helping you through those times, and sort of consulting as well. Yeah. So what do you do to keep like your mental health like good, and do you have any hobbies that
help me?
Help you?
I think as of late, because I've been kind of going through too, just like me mentally, man. I'm trying to figure out who I am. I struggle with a lot of the issues that I have myself. So what I like to do, man, I really like to just take myself and be on my own. Yeah. A lot of people go to their friends or family, whatever, for advice, and like all that stuff that's really cool. If that's how you feel better, do that. I think sometimes taking time to yourself to really sit with your issues and to really feel like shit sometimes is a good thing, because I come out of that feeling like, damn, now I know what I need to work on, and I'm going to truly go for it. Just be that good person, I think that's really important. And to answer the question better, like going to a mountain or like just looking at nature, I think has really helped me just be at peace. Ted
was talking about he goes fishing, to kind of help with
that's
his
why I like Ted too. We played basketball the other day.
Oh yeah. Did you always play basketball? Like you said, you played a little bit in high school.
Always. Okay, I love basketball.
Yeah, you're like a power forward or center, because you're pretty tall, so I'm assuming that
only around certain people. But you know how it is. Asian people. It's like, if you play with other people, I have to change positions. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what can we look forward to for your next projects? Is there anything that you're anticipating?
There's a lot going on. So I have an album dropping in December. Yeah. It's called I Can See the Stars From Here. And this album's special because we're working with Empire, based out in Oakland.
Yeah.
Huge label, probably one of the biggest up and coming urban labels out there right now. And I'm just really excited, man.
Yeah. How did you get introduced with Empire? Because you know Empire is huge, right? They got MB Nell, Stupid Young, Mozzie, Young Blue, Pilo, everybody.
T-Pain.
Yeah, some big names.
I don't know, man, but it just happened. I mean, I always knew about Ghazi. He's the CEO of Empire.
Okay.
And man, I forgot exactly how this happened, but I guess, you know, they just started rocking with us.
Oh, okay.
I think if I try to remember correctly, I was on tour with Amber, and then one of the show dates, like someone in A&R or something from Empire was there, something like that. And then they wanted to start distributing music for us, and we're like, oh yeah, for sure, that's perfect. Like, I think that's kind of how we got in contact. Yeah.
So does that become like a partnership between your label and Empire?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
It's a partnership.
Is there anybody that you're looking forward to working with, like, or if there was someone, an R&B singer or a rapper that you feel like you really want to collaborate with?
I would say Kehlani's definitely at the top of my list.
Yeah.
I think she's so talented. Her vocal tone, man, everything is so good. The writing, just the context, the music videos, everything's on point. I've always been a huge fan of Chris Brown. And I kind of like to look at his just presence as a person. His ridiculous energy, man. I definitely want to emulate that. And another artist I want to collaborate with. There's so many, man.
Yeah.
So many. Twee's another R&B artist who's up and coming. Her album just came out.
Yeah, you highlighted her in your live, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I'm such a big fan of her music, and I think she's really, really killing it. So
okay.
I want to collaborate with more Asian people as well, because you know I love to watch how, you know, the Black community always did it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They always stand together, Black power, whatever.
Right.
You know, they always support within the community. Everyone in the community comes out. Like, I love that. I love that so much. And so I think the Asians also need to adopt this. You know what I'm saying? Just support.
And I think you being in K-Town, I think has been, you know, pretty essential, because you know there's just a lot of music artists that are there. You know, have you worked with like Dumbfounded or anybody who's
not
local?
Worked with Dumb, but he always supports. You know, when we're in the city, when we see each other, he's like, man, I've been, you know, your new song is fire. Yeah. Like, finally that one was a hit. And I was like, oh, thanks, bro. Like, appreciate that, you know. Okay.
Yeah. Before we end it, I want to ask about two different songs. One is Adore You, Dior You, you know, featuring Ted. So how did that song come about, and that partnership within you two happen?
Absolutely. Me and Ted first met in K-Town Night Market. So this is one of the kind of local festivals that you know I used to do. That was my bread and butter back in the day when I was developing as an artist, the very beginning. Yeah. And like Ted and I first met when I guess I was right before Ted. After, you know, I think he was a headliner that night. I had performed, I did my thing. And this was at the thick of like my training and really just taking performance serious. So I was up there dancing and singing and doing the whole thing. Yeah. And you know, I guess trying to promote a lot of new music. And Ted Park was behind the stage or side stage, whatever. Had just watched my performance and was like, oh shoot, I heard about this kid. Yeah. He's like the local, you know, artist that's coming up, and people really start to know who I was. Yeah. Ted came up to me after my performance, was like, hey bro, like damn, you really did your thing. You're doing the whole package, like really dancing up there, singing, vocals on point, whatever. And Ted was super kind to me. Yeah. And I really love that energy, because I had already known who Ted Park was too, and I was fixing to talk to him that night anyways for feature. And so him coming to me with that energy was like, oh, this seals the deal. Yeah. Like he's really the man, or like he's really the guy. Yeah. That, you know, he presents himself as. So I was like, okay, word. Like I love what Ted's saying. He's like, for the people, like for the Asians. I'm like, damn, this is exactly how I'm thinking. Right. So he came back to LA twice. And in the span of like a year or two, you know, we had been working and like hanging out with each other. And then finally that second time he came, we went to Big Banana Studio. And like, you know, at the time I was like, I had never even met Big Banana. So I was like, oh, word. Like, it's like, what's up, Young? Like, Big Banana, dude. I'm really good to see you, because Big Banana's produced for like everybody who came out of K-Town who's been really doing stuff. You know, like J Park, Dom, Rex Dizzy, like anybody, you know. So yeah, just being in that environment. Adore You, Dior You came out, and I was like, I kept bumping the song after the studio session. I was like, this is gonna hit.
Dude, it's definitely, you know, one of the the hits that you and Ted
Thank
have
you,
put out. So yeah, that's So do you foresee any like future projects with Ted that that should be releasing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and Ted now that he's moved out to LA,
Yeah.
we've been working a lot, just here and there throughout the week, like 2-3 sessions a week.
Oh wow. Okay.
Just vibing.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys do it. You guys are like up like 2-3 in the morning, just like grinding. I'm just like, man, that's
more
what you
Ted
need.
than me. I'm done after
Yeah.
like one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. And then the last song I wanted to talk to you about was Honey,
Ah.
because growing up, I used to watch YouTube
Andrew
all
Garcia?
the time, and Andrew Garcia, and a lot of the people in his era
Circle.
of time
Yeah, like
was like
Tim.
the people that we looked up to,
Yeah.
So how did
JR.
that collaboration happen and that song get put together?
That one I actually like to thank Andrew Garcia for, because we back then I had already kind of covers like coming out, and they're like doing their thing, not too crazy, but like considerable. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Considerable amount of people watching.
Mhm.
And so we hit up Andrew Garcia, but I already knew like Andrew Garcia, what's his name? Like Brian Post, like Tim, like
Yeah.
you'd see them here and there.
Mhm.
And like they were a lot closer to my manager, Peter Hong.
Yeah.
So we had an idea of covering Honey, and we were just like, man, which artist can feature on this so that it helps out with the view count and like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, all that stuff. And so he was like, oh, what about Andrew Garcia? And I was like, oh, I love Andrew Garcia. 'Cause
Yeah.
just like you, I grew up watching and listening to him.
Mhm.
So I was like, let's do it. Hit him up, and he's like, yeah, bro, let's do it. I love the song. And I'm
Wow.
like, hell yeah, let's go. So he comes to the studio, we record, finish the song, shoot the music video, and then put it out. And then that becomes one of the songs that a lot of people like us who grew up listening to him appreciate the song.
Yeah,
And, like,
definitely.
a lot of new folks who knew Andrew Garcia would come to find me.
Right.
They're like, yeah, Justin Park's on the scene. Yeah.
Dang, yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Mhm.
And I hope that going forward, you get to collaborate with so many more
Same,
people,
bro.
and we get those hits out there.
Mhm.
I think you're doing something very special. I think your style is very unique.
Thank you.
A lot of people can't do the R&B because there's sort of an aspect of you need a balance, right? You can't just be good at singing or just be good at dancing. You kind of need to do the whole thing.
Everything to be truly,
Yeah.
I don't know about famous, but to be truly recognized, I think you got to do all those things.
Yeah. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to you doing more things and for the community. And I hope that you continue to rise and make
Amen.
more hits, man.
Amen.
But is there anything else you want to tell the viewers, and where can they find you in terms of your social media?
Oh yeah. Well, I'd say keep watching my boy Germs. You already know. And my name is Justin Park. Once again, for all of you new viewers, new fans, go ahead and check me out on any platform. Just type in Justin Park. Also, my album's coming out, like I said before, in December. I Can See the Stars From Here. Look out for that. Might also be going on tour in January. So for all the fans who are watching this as well, check it out. We love you.
Yep. And again, this is a True Diamond VVS podcast. We got Justin Park today, and we're signing off now.
Love you guys. Dusky.